Hello everyone, just Goran here and welcome to this short little video. We are in Keypark Zoo, which is kind of my passion project, my little streaming zoo. You'll often see streams of this zoo pop up. I don't really intend to make videos on the zoo until it's finished, but I have been doing a lot of cool stuff in here, so I figured for the people who don't watch the stream, maybe we'll go over some of the cool tricks that I've been doing in this zoo. So today I want to show you 5 cool ways that I've used billboards that aren't just educational signs and stuff like that. So first thing that I want to talk about is integrating billboards into pieces. So over here I've got 2 examples of that. I've got the Welcome to Kafuli National Park, Africa entrance sign, and I've got a box of cat food. So for the area sign over here, you can see that this has been integrated very nicely into this sign. This is a billboard, but it's integrated into the Australia road sign piece. It's even still got the Planet Zoo logo on it over there. And I've integrated it in such a nice way that it looks like the billboard is printed onto that piece, but it is actually a number of billboards over here that just overlap nicely and have the same color as the sign, making it look like it's one piece. And I think that looks really fancy. You get the nice rounded edges and stuff of the sign. It makes it look more like a Planet Zoo piece, and it makes it really blend into the world in a way. Now the way that is made is pretty simple. Of course I just made the billboard. I did add some nice detail to it with this grunge texture over here that's making it look nice and detailed and kind of fit in quite nicely over here. And yeah, then you just add that onto the sign, you pick the colors correctly, and you've got a cool thing. As for the cat food, it's a much simpler example, even more so. We just got 2 billboards, one for the front, one for the back, and then some pieces around that to make it look like a box. And the billboard has been integrated into the pieces to give us a little cat food box, which one thing I like to do for my billboards as well is use kind of Planet Zoo like things. So I used a mod for the Russian something cat to make it look like a Planet Zoo animal in the box. I think that looks a lot better than using real animals or stuff like that. So yeah, really quite cool. So that's number 1. Number 2 that I want to talk about is billboards in interesting shapes. So you may have noticed my triangle billboard over here with the turtle crossing. This is actually 3 separate billboards just combined into one structure, and I've used some font pieces around it to kind of hide the seams and make it all look a little bit nicer. But these are 3 billboards that overlap, and then I've made the image in such a way that that works. So over here you can see the full image. This is the turtle crossing, and then over top of that image I have put the 3 billboards so that I know which part of the image should be in which billboard. And you can see I've marked the edges of that over here on this black thing, so that when I export this full image, I can put it into a different image editing program and figure out where it should be. So I put in the outlines of the billboard over here. Like if I were to hide everything, you can see this is the size of the document, and this is our billboard. So I've got my turtle billboard, I line it up perfectly over there, and then what I can do is just export this. Then I can rotate that image, and this is why I like to use this program, because I can do stuff like this. So I need to rotate it by like 120 degrees, and then we've got this side of the billboard, so we can, line that up, then export that image, then rotate it again to like 240, and then we've got the last part of the billboards, and we can line that up, export that, and then you have your 3 billboards. And it's all good, and you get to put it in the game, and then you got your neatly shaped billboard. Another example of that is down here in the Africa area. I've got a really cool newspaper educational thing all about like different African tribes. Again, you can see I used in-game screenshots of like guests that kind of looked semi-native African. Not at all, but it got the idea across. Yeah, so we got a bunch of in-game screenshots to kind of sell the story, including like a dead springbok over there. I thought it was really fun. But yeah, again, we can see that this is a number of billboards kind of overlapping and creating the effect that it is some unique shape. So over here in my image editing program, I've kind of laid out where all those billboards are and how they overlap, and that's how I was able to kind of, yeah, puzzle that together and make sure that all the right pieces are on there so that when I overlap them in game it still looks correct. It's kind of challenging, it's a lot of puzzling, but I mean the results are really cool and interesting in my opinion. So yeah, that's it for interesting shapes in your billboards. Next up, I want to talk about, yeah, I don't know what to call this, integrating your billboards into walls, I guess is a way to call it. I've got some whiteboards as well, but those are more generic type of billboard integration. And what's really unique here is these drawings on the wall. They have been stuck on there, and you can barely tell that these are billboards. It almost looks like how did you get transparent billboards and stuff like that? Well, I didn't. These are complete billboards. The entire wall is basically a billboard, as you can see. What I did here is I built the wall, which is built out of like limestone and mesh, and then I took a screenshot of the wall and I used that as a background for my billboards. And then when I put the billboard in the game, it still looks like the wall. It was of course a lot of tweaking to get the colors right and to get the colors to line up with the game to make it look like it is indeed the exact same thing. But yeah, you can see the result. It is really cool. So let's have a look at how this is done, because there's a bunch more tricks to it. First of all, the drawings have a lot of cool detail to them. So I asked a bunch of my viewers to send me their drawings on Twitter and Discord and stuff, and a lot of people send in drawings, which is really cool. And then I added these kind of textures to them to make them look papery, to give them some paper texture, give them some folds, some crumbles, and stuff like that. And then I used this program to put together the wall. So over here you can see that screenshot of the wall. That's what the things are on. And then we've got a drawing. I got a bunch of tape textures to put over them to make it all look taped. I even folded over some of the things, some of the papers as well. I also tore up some of them. Really just added a bunch of different textures to it to make it look realistic and interesting. So I did do all of this live on a stream, so I will link that stream in the description and like on screen or something right now. So if you're interested in how I made these, you can check that out. But that is it for this example. So we are going to move into the aquarium where there's 2 more things to show. And the first room in the aquarium when I want to stop by is the mangrove room. It's a bit of a mess at the moment because I'm building stuff all around it. But basically what we got over here is a really big background. Just like the one of a quick tricks tutorial that I shared on how to make seamless billboard backgrounds. It's basically the same idea here, except that I did add a bunch more details to it. And also it's a very big one. So if I take out the files for this one, you can see over here, this is the billboard layout. So we got a bunch of big billboards, a bunch of smaller ones as well, just whatever I needed to get the shape right. And I laid all of that out here so that I knew how big the image needed to be, and I could kind of figure out what I wanted it to look like. So that's what I did over here, just like in the tutorial that I talked about earlier, which I also put on screen over here. So I kind of puzzled together, okay, which of the mangrove trees do I want to include? This is also a nice Ansel screenshot with a painterly filter to make it look like it is a painting on the wall. And then to just give it a little bit more detail, and this is something I didn't do in that tutorial, is that I added a texture to it. Just like how I added texture to all of these drawings, I took a wall texture from Planet Zoo, actually. This is from the game files of Planet Zoo, to make sure that it's kind of in style with the rest of the game. So I took this wall texture and I applied it to that mangrove thing. So if I just take out this and I emphasize that brick texture a little bit more, you can see over here that brick texture laid across the mangrove background. And yeah, if I get rid of that, it's very smooth, and with this it's got that little brick. And if you then look in the game, you can see just that faint bit of brick through there just gives it that little bit more detail and realism that yeah, makes it look unique and interesting and cool. Now the last thing I want to show you guys is this really cool billboard that I made over here. This is something that I took out of other aquariums that I have visited, like Blijdorp, and pretty much any aquarium will have some kind of projection onto the ceiling or the floor or the walls that will give you the idea of being underwater. So I wanted to incorporate something like that, so I took some fish mods, I dumped them in the lake, and I made a little recording. Looks like the billboard broke. It's just something that happens sometimes. So I made a little recording in-game of fish swimming overhead, and I turned that into an animated billboard, and I made it look like a projector. So there's a couple of things at play here. First of all, over here I have the files for it. So we've got the video of the fish, but once again, just like with the mangrove background, I took this little texture over here of, I think this is the limestone once again, just to get, again, some texture on there, making it look like this video is actually being projected onto something that isn't perfectly smooth, but actually something stone-like. So you can see that detail throughout this image, and that just gives it just that little bit more extra detail. But that's not all. Of course, here in the game I did go around the thing to kind of, yeah, hide it. I think the idea here was that these are shadows cast by these rocks over here, so that, yeah, the projection stops at a certain point, and that's why there's also this kind of outcropping over here where this bump is. Yeah, it's not perfect yet. I definitely need to tweak a little bit more, but one thing more worth pointing out, and then we're done for this video, is that another thing I added is some lights. So I added some path lights. Let's see if we can find them somewhere. Probably inside of this wall. Yeah, here they are. So I added these path lights to shine some light on the surrounding, because of course when you have a projector, you're still going to have some reflections. Some of that light that's being projected to make this video is going to bleed onto other objects. So that's why I added these lights, just to give that effect that this projector is actually emitting light and affecting the surrounding area and blending all of that in just a little more. I thought that was a really cool effect, and I hope that gives you some ideas and inspiration. So yeah, those are 5 unique ways that I have used billboards in my Keypark Zoo. Hope that was helpful to you and gave you some ideas of how you can use billboards in a different way. I really love using billboards in this project to kind of explore what I can do with them and kind of, yeah, find some unconventional uses like these. So yeah, I hope for the rest of the project I'll still be able to come up with some new ways to use them. If you like what you saw here today, be sure to check out some of the Keypark Zoo streams every now and then. You can also rewatch them on the channel. I know they're pretty long and I usually don't get a lot of progress, but we always start every stream showing kind of the progress between streams and going over the ideas that I have for the different areas. So that is potentially still interesting to you. I don't know. If the zoo, or no, I should say when the zoo is ever finished, I will make some nice walkthrough tour videos of the entire thing. So if you're patient enough, you can look forward to that in like a year or 2, depending on how long it will take. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. So bye bye!